Well, welcome to C Files, folks. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe and help promote this channel. I don't advertise for good reason. Uh, some of the advertising is not appropriate for the subject matter of this channel, so I don't allow that. I don't do this for money, and I don't do it necessarily to get a whole lot of views. This is for the few of you who want to walk with the Lord um, at a higher level. And for those of you who are curious about what's in the Bible, what curious about Christianity, but you don't know, and for those of you who just want to grow in your faith, we here on the C Files learn the Bible by reading the Bible. We read through it, and I do some running commentary. As I've been studying the scriptures 50 years, for 50 years. So I have some understanding, some knowledge of the Bible. So let me begin. And hopefully this throat tea will help with my throat here. All right. Now, Job is the book about a man named Job who goes through some serious trials and tribulations in his life. And it's a great book for anyone who's going through trials and tribulations in their lives. It really covers every aspect of any trial or tribulation anyone might go through. Job goes through all of it, all the suffering, the tribulations, the everything. He goes through everything. Now we've read the first three chapters where Job gets hit, where he loses everything he has, including his children are killed. He loses all his finances. He loses his livestock. He loses his camels, his transportation system, and he loses his own health. And This is from a conversation that's going on between God and Satan. And Satan is trying to come before the Lord and brag about how he's walking to and fro throughout the earth. Satan, frankly, I've read the scriptures for 50 years. I don't understand Satan's mentality. I really don't. I just don't understand how any creature that was that close to the Lord had that much glory and prestige given to him from God would become so arrogant and elevated in his mind that he would fall from that position and condemn himself for eternity. Why would anyone do that? Why would Satan do that? I don't know. And that's the whole thing. There's a lot that we don't know. The scriptures are not going to tell us everything. But what we do know is what we need for this life on this earth. Now, so Job loses everything. And in chapter 3, he laments the day he was born because he's suffering so bad. He laments that he's not dead. He's suffering so bad. But before that, he did not, Satan was trying to get Job to sin before the Lord through all that suffering. And Job would not do it. Job said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, naked shall I return. The Lord takes away, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And then when his wife told him, curse God and die, why are you going through this? Just curse God and die. He called her a foolish woman. And he said, shall we not receive that which is good? If good, what shall we not receive that which is suffering or bad from the Lord and also serve that which is good? Let me read the quote to you. um, I have to find it because I need to go through that. Um, Here it is. It's chapter 2, verse 9. Then his wife said to him, do you still hold fast to your integrity, Job? Curse God and die. But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from the Lord or good from God? And shall we not accept adversity?" And all this did Job not sin. Job did not sin with his lips. So I'm getting twisted between the old King James and the new King James, but the way I'm saying it. But you get the picture. Now we're going to go into chapter 4. So Job has done this lamentation, and now Eliphaz, one of the three friends that came to mourn with Job and try to help him, is going to pipe in, and he's going to accuse Job of sinning. Eliphaz, Job has sinned. This is the title. Let's begin in chapter 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite uh, answered and said, let me get this in here a little bit better. Sorry, this is going to. These glasses, unless I'm up close, they're not as good as I wanted them to be. All right. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if one attempts a word with you, will you become weary? Job, can I speak with you for a moment? But who can withhold himself from speaking? I can't deal with this anymore. I got to tell you, Job, surely you have instructed many, and you have strengthened weak hands. Your words have upheld him who was stumbling, and you have strengthened the feeble knees. But now it comes upon you, and you are weary. It touches you, and you are troubled. Is not your reverence your confidence, and the integrity of your ways your hope? So he's saying, Job, you're a really great guy because every time someone is in need, they're weak, they need help, they need encouragement, you've always been there for them, Job. But now you're in that situation and you need help. He's saying, is not your reverence your confidence? Job, have you gotten a little bit too lifted up with all these wonderful things you've done and the integrity of your ways, your hope? Job, is your hope in your own integrity? Oh, here it comes. Remember now, whoever perished being innocent. Remember now, whoever perished being innocent. Whoever, went into these circumstances, these things you're dealing with, Job, unless they've done something wrong. You're telling us you're innocent, Job? This is where he's going. And he's speaking out of turn. He's speaking of that of which he knows not. I've seen this so many times with people on the internet, outside the internet, where they just jump in, motor mouth goes running, and they're speaking of things they have no understanding or knowledge of. And when you do that, you make a fool of yourself. And this is what Eliphaz is doing here. He's making a fool of himself, but we'll finish up what he has to say now that you have an idea of what he's doing. Remember now, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the upright ever cut off? Even as I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. If you have iniquity, you're going to have, iniquity is going to be accounted to you. But if you sow trouble, you're going to get trouble. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his anger they are consumed. The roaring of the lion, the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. Now a word is secretly brought to me, and my ear received the whisper of it. It's almost like he said, I got a word from the Lord. In disquieting thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on men, fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair on my body stood up. I wonder who that was. Who was it that was accusing Job in the first place? Yeah, that was Satan accusing Job. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair on my body stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern its appearance. A form was before my eyes, and there was silence. Then I heard a voice saying, can a mortal be more righteous than God? How many times have we heard this kind of manipulative questioning from people that whose motives are not on the up and up, whose motives are not pure? Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Can a man be more pure than his maker? Oh boy. If he puts no trust in his servants, if he changes his angels with error, how much more those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed before a moth? They are broken in pieces from morning till evening. They perish forever, with no one regarding. Does not your own excellence go away? They die even without wisdom. I'm going to continue in 5 because Eliphaz continues with his discourse all the way to 6. So let's hear what else he has to say. On this one, I'm going to have to do multiple chapters sometimes because I have to follow the full statement of each person. Eliphaz continues that Job was chastened by God. That's what his conclusion is of all of this. Call out now. Is there anyone who will answer you? And to which of the holy ones will you turn? Now think about this. Job is suffering all of these things he's suffering of no fault of his own. This was God's purpose and will in his life for a temporary suffering like this to ish to test Job, to strengthen Job's character over time, and to demonstrate that sometimes suffering isn't because you're a sinner. Sometimes suffering is because God's will determines it for a higher purpose. Call out now. Is there anyone who will answer you? And to which of the holy ones will you turn? For wrath kills a foolish man, and envy slays a simple one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I curse his dwelling place. His sons are far from safety. They are crushed in the gate, and there is no deliverer. Because this is how they spoke back then. Very eloquent, very flowery speech, very almost poetic in a sense. Um, but they're making a point. Verse 5. Because the hungry eat up his harvest, taking it evil even from the thorns, and a snare snatches their substance. For affliction does not come from the dust, nor does trouble spring from the ground. Yet man is born to trouble, as the sparks fly upward. But as for me, I would seek God. Ooh, Eliphaz, are you getting a little high and mighty yourself there? And to God I would commit my cause. Oh boy. Who does great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number? He gives rain on the earth and sends waters on the fields. He sets on high those who are lowly, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He frustrates the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot carry out their plans. He catches the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the cunning comes quickly upon them. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope at noontime as in the night. But he saves the needy from the sword, from the mouth of the mighty, and from their hand. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the Almighty. For he bruises, but he binds up. He wounds, but his hands make whole. He shall deliver you in six troubles. Yes, in seven no evil shall touch you. In famine he shall redeem you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. You shall be hidden from the scourge of the tongue. And you shall not be afraid of destruction when it comes. You shall laugh at the destruction and famine, and you shall not be afraid of the beasts of the earth. For you shall have a covenant with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with you. Ye shall know that your tent is in peace. Ye shall visit your dwelling and find nothing amiss. Ye shall also know that your descendants shall be many, and your offspring like the grass of the earth. Ye shall come to the grave at a full age, as a sheaf of grain ripens in its season. Behold, this we have searched out. It is true. Hear it and know for yourself. All right. I'm going to sum that up here in just a moment. A little throat tea to help out. Here's what he was saying, basically. Job, what'd you do, Job? What are you hiding? You trying to hide something from God, Job? You thought because you were a big guy, possibly a ruler over an entire country, very rich, had everything, that you could get away with something, hide something from God? Is that what's going on here, Job? Is that what you're doing? Now, Job, if you just do the right thing, if you just admit what you did, God will restore you and just restore everything to you, and you'll have happiness again. You'll have all these blessings from God, Job, but you're not doing that. What'd you do, Job? That's 4 and 5 of Job in a nutshell. Eliphaz is a little bit too full of his own self-righteousness. And there's a lesson about being too self-righteous. And what did I do with I want to wipe something off the screen there. And I can't even find, I must have left it downstairs. Okay. Well, let me see if I can find something to get that off the screen. Okay, here we go. We'll use this. All right, get that off of there. Okay, cool. Is that gone? Yeah, there we go. Sorry, folks. I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. Um, a lot of military service and things like that have kind of done that to me. Anyway, let me go to Psalm now. Imagine being Job and you just went through all this horrible stuff. You're in the deepest, darkest cavern of your life. And these guys come along and start accusing you of doing something wrong when you did absolutely nothing wrong. That's about as far down. I think that's hitting the bottom of the pit right there. But God's gonna handle all this by the end of the book. Yep, Satan can come at us. He can. We need to recognize that, and we need to just be patient in the Lord when he does. All right, we're going to be in looks like Psalm 124. Let's see. Yeah. Well, what was the last one I did? Yeah, I think it's 124. Is that right? Yeah. We'll go with it. All right. So this is the Lord, the defense of his people, a song of ascents of David. Ascents is when they're going up the mountain toward Jerusalem for a holy day. They would sing these psalms. These are songs that they would sing. And here's 124. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, let Israel now say, If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, when men rose up against us, then they would have swallowed us alive when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters would have overwhelmed us. The stream would have gone over our soul. Then the swollen waters would have gone over our soul. Blessed be the Lord, who has not given us as prey to their teeth. Our soul has escaped as a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken, and we have escaped. Our help, is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. I'll do 125 also. But the Lord, the strength of his people, a song of ascents. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people, even his time forth and forever. For the scepter of wickedness shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous, lest the righteous reach out their hands to iniquity. Do good, O Lord, to those who are good, and to those who are upright in their hearts, such as turn aside to their crooked ways. The Lord shall lead them away with the workers of iniquity. Peace be unto Israel. All right, I've got some time. I will stop there. And we'll go to Proverbs. And we'll do Proverbs. Well, we're the fifth day of the month. Let's jump to Proverbs 5. Because we go through Proverbs every month. So if we skip a couple, we'll come back to it the next month. This is the peril of adultery in Proverbs. And these are sayings of wisdom that God gives us in his Bible. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Lend your ear to my understanding, that you may preserve discretion and your lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of an immoral woman drip honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. It's not that hard to see this today, the immoral woman. They're everywhere, all over social media. Um, I mean, it's everywhere. And the wise young man will stay away from the immoral woman. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood. So she looks smoother than oil. I mean, she looks really, really good. But in the end, she's a nightmare, is what it's saying. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lay hold of hell. Lest you ponder her path of life, her ways are unstable. You do not know them. Therefore, hear me now, my children, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Remove your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others, and your years to the cruel one, lest aliens be filled with your wealth, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner, and you mourn at last when your flesh and your body are consumed, and say, how I have hated instruction, and my heart despised correction. I have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to those who instructed me. I was on the verge of total ruin, in the midst of the assembly of the congregation. Drink water from your own cistern. Stay within your own bounds. Um, Wait for the wife that God will give you, or find your solace and your fulfillment, if you will, as far as your soul relationship with a woman and sexual relationship with a woman in your wife. That's what it means by the cistern. Drink water from your own cistern. and running water from your own well. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets. Streams of water in the streets is a question mark. I'll read it again. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets? And should you go to every woman out there in the street and totally ruin your life? Let them be only your own and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. As a loving deer and a graceful doe, let her breast satisfy you at all times and always be enraptured with her love. For why should you, my son, be enraptured by an immoral woman and be embraced in the arms of a seductress? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. His own iniquities entrap the wicked man, and he is caught in the cords of his sin. He shall die for lack of instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. So, a great warning to young men to avoid the immoral women or woman because they'll ruin your life. They'll destroy your life. And you have to kind of pick up the pieces if you can after they've done so. No, stay with the moral woman, the godly woman that will bless you in a great fashion. So that's some words of wisdom. The world is full of foolishness, folks. I mean, seriously, the world is just full. I mean, heaps of foolishness. And we have to navigate through that trash heap of foolishness called the world system and the world attitude. And these proverbs help us to do that. There's a lot of things in scripture that helps us to navigate the trappings of this world. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like I stated before. And we'll see you next time here on the C Files.